For me, it's about the law and people. How am I supposed to quantify the value of these things when I don't have evidence?
I'm sorry.
And how people can resolve their problems and just be better for it.
Justice with passion.
I always knew I was going to go into law because I tried to see everybody's point of view in an argument. You say one thing, she says another. So who am I to believe?
Justice with truth.
Either you make the decision or I make the decision. You won't like mine.
This is Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. Tamara Underwood is suing Jade Brenner in the amount of $950. Ms. Underwood says she left her painting at the defendant's art studio after a paint and sip event and says Ms. Brenner sold it and pocketed the money.
Okay, Ms. Brenner, you run an art studio, right?
Yes.
And I hear in these art studios you have events called Paint and Sip?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that.
I run an art studio called Art by Jade. I started Paint and Sips as they were growing in popularity. I wanted to get in with the game. I didn't invent Paint and Sips, but I started doing them at my studio. Seats about 8 students, do them 3 or 4 times a week.
And what is it that you do? They go in, they paint, and they drink cocktails, or?
Yeah, so they come into my studio. I have a painting already pre-painted that they're gonna be following. I run them through with a blank canvas, how to each step by step, walk around, help with certain brush strokes, and they have unlimited wine, either Cabernet, Sauvignon, or Merlot.
Good, okay, that's interesting. So you make a good amount of money from these little events, or?
Yeah, I make a modest living.
Okay, that's good, all right. So then I understand, Miss Underwood, you attended one of these Paint and Sips?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and you didn't have a good experience because we're here suing her for $950, right?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
Tell me why.
I was headed to our studio with 4 of my friends. My girls and I wanted to have a fun Sunday evening. We had just gone out the night before. We had so much fun, but we were ready for something a bit more low energy. So we found Jade's studio online, and we thought it would be a great experience. However, after I was done painting, I was putting my finishing touches on my painting. It came out exactly the way that I wanted. And when my best friend Amy, who made it a bit more of a sip and paint than a paint and sip, she was pretty drunk, she knocked over my hand, which was holding my wine glass, and it spilled all over my painting.
Wow, okay.
Yes, I had Merlot splatters all over my painting that I was really proud of.
Okay.
But it was a fun experience, so I was happy with what was happening.
All right, so then what happened after you guys were done with the Paint and Sip?
I went home. I did leave the painting there.
Why did you leave the painting there?
The colors just really didn't match with my apartment, but it was a fun experience, so I figured I would just take a photo on my phone. I do have that as well on my phone.
Okay, all right. And then, so at that moment, did you think, don't like the colors, I'm not going to take it home, I'd probably throw it away anyway, or what did you think at that moment? Because you didn't take it with you.
I was mainly thinking a photo on my phone would have been fine, just to remember the experience. Not that I didn't love the painting, but it was a bit tainted, so I knew I most likely wouldn't have hung it in my apartment.
So you just left it there?
I did,
Okay,
yes.
just with thinking, I don't want it, basically.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so what happened next?
Next, I went home and I met up with some friends who unfortunately couldn't make it to the first paint and sip that we went to. And I was telling them how much fun it was, despite the whole wine debacle. I really did have a great time. My friends and I were laughing. We were making fun of each other's paintings. It was actually a really fun experience. I went to go book a second session with the friends who missed out on the first, and I saw in the top right corner of Jade's art website that it said shop. So I clicked on it just to see her artwork. I would have loved to support a small business here in Austin. And unfortunately, I saw my painting with the wine splatters up on her website with the label sold for $950.
Okay, wow. So now you want the value of your painting, which is the $950.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. So, Ms. Brenner, what is the normal, I read your little contract, or not a contract, information about the paint and sip. But tell me, what is your normal course of business when you have these paint and sips? If people come in and they take it with them, you don't charge them for that, right? Because they pay an entry fee.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
how long do you keep paintings for people who just leave it there? And, or first of all, is it really common that a lot of people leave their paintings there?
I would not say that it's common, Your Honor, but it does happen. And if someone does leave a painting behind, I will put it in the back of my studio for 2 to 3 weeks until taking a second look at it. So I give them time to come in.
Normal course of business is waiting about 3 weeks or so?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Okay.
About so I can give the artist some time to come back into the studio if they do want to, pick up their painting, they forgot it or something like that.
Coming up on Justice for All.
So I decided to try to list it on my website, and it sold pretty quickly, and I was very happy about that. I put all that money right back into the studio.
And later,
we have a long-term friendship. She needed a place to stay. I offered my room to her and her 2 children. We did have some conditions on the lease that I came up with. One of those conditions would just be to maintain a clean environment.
if you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. We're back with the case of Tamara Underwood, who is suing Jade Brenner for breach of contract.
So normal course is keeping it for about 3 weeks or so? The painting, if somebody
Yes.
leaves them behind?
Yes.
And according to the website, you say that if they leave it behind, then you have a right to either dispose of it or keep it, right?
Since this incident, I have created a waiver that does state that I have the right to dispose of it or sell it on my website for
but
profit.
prior to that, did you have anything? So that's now, but prior to that, if somebody just left their painting there after 3 weeks, which I think is super reasonable, right? But after 3 weeks, did you notify the people, or did you just figure they're not coming back for it, so you would do whatever you wanted with it?
On the day of the incident, Tamara was pretty upset that she had spilled wine all over her painting, so I just assumed that she didn't want the painting. I didn't want to remind her of the incident.
And then from what I understand, like another couple weeks went by and you put it up for sale on your website?
Yes. Do you want to see the paintings?
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah. So I have,
So you put it up for sale on the website and somebody bought it immediately?
yes, so the first painting is my original painting that was being copied by Tamara and everyone in the class. And then that is her painting, basically exactly the same, thanks to me.
It's a pretty good replica, yeah.
Yeah.
Except for the wine.
The wine, yeah. So I decided to try to list it on my website, and it sold pretty quickly, and I was very happy about that. I put all that money right back into the studio, which we do a lot of charity for the community. I do host weekly classes for kids that can't afford private lessons. So I just throw everything back into the studio.
All right, so then she told you she wanted the money for that, and you said no?
I said no, but since she was upset, we have emails going back and forth where I do offer her the refund for the class, the $75.
That was all. You didn't have to do that. That was awfully nice of you.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice and reasonable, but she thinks that I'm a thief and that I stole her painting to sell it on the website. So I have the emails here if you'd like to take a look at them.
Yeah.
Is that all the evidence?
And then I do have the money order for the painting. I didn't actually sell it for the list price. The buyer did haggle me down to $575.
Okay.
So,
All right. Okay, anything else you want to add, Ms. Brenner? Well, you got paid $575. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Ms. Underwood?
Yes, I would like to add that although it was inspired by her painting, what made it different were the wine strokes.
Okay.
I mean, it splattered all
true.
over.
Yeah, that's
If
true.
you wanted to sell your painting, sell your own.
But that was
or
not-
the 11 other people in the class. You only sold mine because of the wine stains that I spilled. It was my wine.
How many people left their painting on the day she went when she left the painting?
just her, Your Honor. But if you want to bring it down to the wine spillage, that was an accident. And if the artist is going to be the person that spilled the wine, then really your friend should be the artist because
Okay,
she's the one that hit.
it really doesn't matter. I think you guys are really trying to get into technicalities that really don't matter. Whether she copied your thing, it's your original painting, it doesn't really matter. What matters is very specifically what I asked you, Miss Underwood, is on the day of the painting, what was your intent when you left it there, right? You specifically said you didn't want it, didn't like the colors. It was your intent to leave it there because you'd probably throw it away anyway. So on that day, that was the intent. So you left it there, you abandoned it, right? Period. It's like throwing something away in the garbage. When you throw something away in the garbage, it's garbage.
I do
Period.
just think that profiting
I'm
off
not done. So it's garbage. So you left it there, so it's garbage. Technically, in a way, it's a great analogy. You didn't want it. You didn't like the colors. You're like, everybody else took theirs. Everybody else was extremely deliberate in taking their paintings, but you left it there for a very specific reason. You knew you were going to throw it away. You didn't like the colors. You didn't like it. You left it there. Therefore, she waited 3 weeks, which is extremely reasonable for you to come back and claim it. You didn't claim it, so it's hers. It's like garbage. So therefore, it's hers. So that painting is hers. So she sold her painting. She sold your garbage. That happens to be hers. So she gets to keep the $575. Therefore, based on that, I will deny your claim. And like I said, you shouldn't have even reimbursed her.
I didn't. She declined my reimbursement.
Oh, well, that's even perfect. So we're really even now, right?
Yes.
Don't throw it garbage away because you might want it back. That's all I can tell you. Okay? Good luck, ladies.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Perez has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
I ruled in favor of the defendant because, you know, as they say, one man's garbage is another man's treasure.
You have been my only bad experience at my business.
There's a reason that you're a struggling artist. I will find a new place to paint.
Coming up on Justice for All.
How were the dining room table chairs damaged?
There were prominent stains on all of my dining room table chairs. I believe from our kids maybe spilling some drinks. There were popcorn kernels on the chairs.
So you had to clean them?
You're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. Tiffany Hunt is suing Shayla Johnson in the amount of $481.93. Ms. Hunt claims she rented a room to her former friend and says Ms. Johnson stained her dining room chairs and refused to have them cleaned.
Good afternoon, ladies. I understand, Ms. Johnson, you rented a room from the plaintiff, Ms. Hunt, for you and your 2 children, and she is here suing you today for $481.93. So why don't you tell me what happened, Ms. Hunt?
We have a long-term friendship. She was in a bind. She needed a place to stay. I offered my room to her and her 2 children. We did have some conditions on the lease that I came up with. One of those conditions would just be to maintain a clean environment. In that lease, I also stated that if we do not uphold that duty, either of us, a $40 charge would be incurred each week.
So let me see the original copy of that lease. So from my interpretation was that each of you equally had the responsibility to clean the common areas.
That is correct.
Right? And if either one of you would not meet that requirement, you would be assessed $40. Is that correct?
Yes.
So then what happened to Ms. Hunt?
The first month was fine. She cleans every Friday. We both cleaned. I was in charge of mopping. She was in charge of sweeping and keeping the dining room table clean.
Yes.
So that's what I expected from her. I did everything else. After about the second month, she started slipping. Every other week, she would clean. When she would not clean, I would make a record of it. I kept like a calendar on my refrigerator, and so I would just mark every day that she did not clean, every Friday that she did not clean.
Coming up,
For the most part, I was on it for that first month. I always kept up with the cleaning on Fridays. So actually, she's like more of the morning person on Friday, so I would kind of clean on the evening, and I just needed a little bit more time.
you're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. We're back with the case of Tiffany Hunt, who is suing Shayla Johnson for breach of contract.
How long was the lease for? The lease
The lease is for 4 months.
4 months, I see. So, and you paid $1,000 a month.
Yes, and I paid on time.
And, okay, that was pretty much the terms. $1,000 a month for 4 months, you got a room, and then you had household responsibilities and privacy issues, but that was the entire agreement, right? So she failed to clean a few months.
She failed to clean a few months. On top of that, on the time of her moving out, I went to do just cleaning the area as I normally would, and then I stumbled upon my dining room table chairs and found that they were damaged.
How were the dining room table chairs damaged?
There were prominent stains on all of my dining room table chairs, I believe from her kids maybe spilling some drinks. I took pictures of that
send me
as well.
pictures. So you had to clean them, or?
I tried to clean them on the first attempt, discovering it with some at-home cleaner I had. The stains weren't coming out, so at that point I had taken those pictures, sent those to her in a text message, informed her about the chairs, told her that they would need professional cleaning, told her the amount. She was not willing to pay that amount.
So the $481.93 was just to get all 6 chairs steam cleaned?
No, the chairs costed, I believe it's $321.93, and I have that receipt here as well.
Okay, so the chairs to be steam cleaned were $321.93.
And then on top of that, I am charging her for the chores that she failed to do as well.
Okay, that's the remainder of the money, right?
Yes.
So you're charging $160 in cleaning.
Correct.
Okay, so you asked her for this money. She said, "I'm not going to reimburse you," and that's it. And that's why you sued her.
She refused, yes.
Judge Perez's verdict when Justice for All returns. You're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez.
Your side of the story, Ms. Johnson.
Yes. Well, for the most part, I was on it for the first month. I always kept up with the cleaning on Fridays. So actually, she's more of the morning person on Friday, so I would kind of clean on the evening, and I just needed a little bit more time.
Okay, so you missed 4 days of cleaning.
Yes.
But you know you missed 4 days of cleaning.
Yes.
And you signed the lease here that says that was one of the requirements.
Yeah.
That you had to clean certain areas, and if you didn't, you'd be assessed $40 a week.
Right. And
Right.
I would pay my rent, but she never mentioned it. She would never
but
mention
still,
the fees.
I didn't sign this lease. I didn't come up with it. That's your signature there. So it's written. It's all in black and white. You guys agreed to it. So, you say you didn't clean. So that's pretty set. Now, let's talk about the dining room table. Did she ever use the dining room chairs?
Not while I was there. She would let us eat ourselves.
Oh, okay. So nobody really used the table except for you guys.
She did have guests over sometimes, and that was one issue.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I have nothing to add.
All right, so based on the evidence, I will rule in favor of the plaintiff, as I find the defendant breached her rental agreement as she failed to clean on the certain days she was supposed to cleaning. And in addition to that, I do find that her children were responsible for dirtying the fabric on the dining room chairs. So based on that, I will grant the plaintiff's claim in the amount of $481.93. Good luck, ladies.
Thank you.
Judge Perez has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $481.93.
I feel that the judgment was very just. I mean, it makes sense. She damaged my property, so she should be willing to pay for what she damaged.
I think it's completely unfair. This is just the most petty reason to be in court.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.